Hello everyone. I'm going to demonstrate how to make a moist cake. I have my audience members here, my husband Emmanuel and my daughter Danielle.
She's short.
And I'm going to show you all how to make a moist cake. Have you ever wanted to make a cake? You get the ingredients, you follow the instructions, and when you eat your cake, it comes out dry and crumbly. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a moist cake. First thing that we're going to do is preheat the oven. It says here on this cake that I chose to put it on 325. We're going to add the dry ingredients first. I have two different cake mixes because I want to show everyone two different ways that you can make a moist cake. When measuring liquids, I always like to add a little bit more than what it calls for. Not too much, but it's better that you fill it just above the line than just below. It calls for 1 1/4 cup of water. Here's 1 cup. And 1/4. It also calls for eggs. When you're adding eggs, if you add large eggs, that adds a little more liquid to it. This calls for 3 eggs. It also calls for a 1/3 cup vegetable oil. And instead of using the vegetable oil, I like to add butter. So 1/3 cup of oil and 5 1/3 tablespoons of butter are equivalent to the same thing. And one way to make the cake have a more moist consistency is to add pudding mix. Dry pudding mix. If you're making, like I am, a white cake, the best kind to use would be vanilla. If you're making a chocolate, I would probably use chocolate. So I'm going to put dry vanilla pudding mix into this cake here. In this one here, we're going to add mayo. I take about 2 tablespoons of mayo, and that'll give it a nice moist taste. One important part of making a cake is overmixing. If you overmix the cake, then it's going to cause it to be dry. If you have little flecks of butter in there, it's going to help and melt it as it cooks. Also, the starch in the flour won't be overstimulated. So I just mix it just enough to where it's not too clumpy and all the flour has been mixed. I'm going to do the same with this. doesn't matter if it's got a little clump. I've gone ahead and pre-greased my pans with Oleo or Crisco. And as soon as the oven is preheated, I will add it to the cake. Okay, my oven is preheated. One very important part of making a moist cake is ensuring that the cake is not overbaked. One way in doing this is my cake calls for 2 9-inch rounds to be cooked for about 25 to 30 minutes. To make sure that it's not going to overbake, I'm going to set my timer for about 22 minutes. My timer has gone off, and I'm going to check the cakes. As you can see, the one on the right is not quite done. It's still leaving a little bit of liquid. That's the one that we put the pudding. This one right here is done. We're going to set the timer for 4 more minutes. My cake timer has already come off. This cake is now done. We're going to now let it cool. Okay, we've got our finished product, our cake, and we have added butter instead of vegetable oil, mayo to one of the cakes, vanilla pudding, that's another way to ensure a moist cake. Also, we didn't overmix, and we made sure we didn't overbake it. And here we have our moist cake. Thank you all for watching.